Hello Devils, good to see you again. We've had the PFA Awards, now time for us to talk about United's standout performers, maybe some of those who weren't so good. A big welcome to the Republic of Mancunia viewers as well. If you like our video, if you want to check them out, make sure you head to our YouTube channel, subscribe, give us some feedback as well. We'd love to hear from you. Now on the panel today we've got Justin from Red Flag Flying High, we've got Dale from Stretty News, and we've got regular Devil Suf, who's tearing himself away from his dissertation. Guys, good to have you. We're going to run through the the elements of the team: defence, midfield, strikers. Not going to talk too much transfer stuff, just the squad we've got right now. I have to start with the keeper. David made the PFA Team of the Year. Justin, I guess no arguments. Is he set now for 15 years or so?
Hopefully, I'd like to think so. I don't see why not. He's had a brilliant season. I think some of the criticism he got early on in the season was undeserved, but there's been no denying that the second half of the season, he's not, even his most fiercest critics have had nothing to complain about, because he's been outstanding, and he's been a big part of us winning title number 20.
Dale, happy with him and Lindegaard, or do you want another backup?
No, I'm delighted with De Gea. The thing I see with De Gea is we show him loyalty now. But the big question for De Gea is, will he show us loyalty when someone like Barcelona or Real Madrid comes in a few years' time? Because he is Spanish, and we know about Spanish players wanting to play for the biggest Spanish clubs. But for me, David De Gea deserves a place in the squad. Fantastic goalkeeper, and he's really shushed the critics out there.
I don't want the PK phenomenon, do we? Suf, onto defence. Rio, the resurrection of Rio, like the phoenix from the flames. His back problems. What do you make of that? He's in the PFA team. Has he been a standout defender?
Definitely. I mean, there's been in the past, last season anyway, he's passed it, he needs to go. But I think this season he's showed the maturity. I think not playing for England as well has done him a lot of good. And against Arsenal, he was murking all their players, constantly just chipping the ball over.
Not bringing that TV show back though, is he?
Dropping his. No, he's not. I don't think he will be. But no, he thoroughly, deserves to be in there. He's been solid every time he's played. So, alongside the others there as well, I think he's been one of our best.
What about Jonny Evans, Justin? There's a bit of shout. A lot of people saying he's been the difference this season. Not maybe because he's played that many games, but just the fact that he's offered that kind of that solid backup.
Jonny Evans has been solid. Yeah, you're right. I just, like you say, maybe not as solid as Rio, but I disagree a little bit with Suf what he said there. I thought Rio was outstanding last season as well, and I thought the fact he didn't get picked for England was a complete disgrace, because I felt, especially towards the end of the season, he was superb. This season he's just kicked on. He's been ultra reliable. We've seen him getting forward as we did against Arsenal. So yeah, Jonny Evans has been good, but Rio has been better.
There's no one's played badly, have they, Dale, across the back four? I mean, you look at it, it's one of the strongest units, I guess.
At the start of the season, we would have said differently. We were leaking goals and people blamed De Gea, but I thought it was an issue with the defence. The fact of the matter was, we were seeing different back fours week in, week out, but now we've seen a bit of consistency, and that's been the solution to it all. We've seen our Rios, and Ferguson's getting a chance now to rotate a bit with Phil Jones playing in defence. I'm really happy with our defenders, and I think maybe that bit of competition Evra's got this season, let's give him a major boost. And
from Butner,
From Butner, and also next season you have Fabio coming back, so I think we're well stocked, but maybe Ferguson might see a few additions.
Gents, let's go on to midfield. And this one's interesting for me because Michael Carrick's obviously in the PFA team, standout midfielder in the country, standout midfielder at United. But Justin, is he the only midfielder who's had a good season?
The only midfielder at United that's had a good season?
Yeah, like a definitely definitive good season.
I think you might have a point there, to be honest with you. I mean, cleverly, early on in the season, seems to be forming a partnership with Carrick that was going to last all through the season. We thought, right, this is it, this is going to be us. But then I don't think he started a game since February, Tom Cleverley, not in the league anyway. So he seems to have fallen from favour. Phil Jones has been in and out of midfield or in defence. You can't really class him as a solid midfielder because he's played some of his best games at centre-back. So then you've got, obviously Fletcher's not played. Anderson, let's not even go there. So, I mean, you could argue that Kaggle has come into it the last third of the season. But again, he always does his best work sort of just off the striker rather than as a conventional midfielder, if you know what I mean. So I wouldn't say Carrick's been our only good midfielder, but he's been certainly the most outstanding one.
Dale, what do you think? We've always had this rich history of wingers. Is that the problem? The wide midfielder's not been performing gigs. He's probably the best of the lot, and he probably doesn't even play wide much of the time now.
Years ago, we would have seen this as a big issue, whereas this year, I think we've changed our style of play. We're not really over-dependent on wide play, but it would benefit, it would help us. Valencia hasn't had the best of seasons, but he's been coming into himself in the recent weeks. And I think, if we could get the wingers playing well, it's only going to help us more. But I think this season we're playing a lot more through the centre, and if we could open up out wide, it's only going to help us. We're only going to score more goals. So maybe next season you can see more consistency out wide.
But Ashley Young, Surf, no goals this season. What do you make of his performances?
I mean, his first season, it was good last season. He scored. Well, he had part in the goal at West Brom away at the start of the season, and everyone was singing about him, raving about him. He scored corkers against Arsenal, important goals against Tottenham, Blackburn. This season, I think, it's because of his injuries. It's only because of his injuries that he's not been able to sort of get a consistent place in the team. Next season might, maybe turn it on. We've got the introduction of Zaha as well, maybe coming into the team potentially next season as well. So, I think that might make everybody up their game, because Zaha's a pretty good player and could easily challenge all of them. But it does raise the...
Well, do you want to ask Justin as well about the position of things? You mentioned Jones there playing midfield, but what about the issue then of Rooney and Welbeck playing there now? Do we count them as midfielders? I mean, Danny's strike rate doesn't really
I think
compare to the best forwards.
this season we'd have to class Welbeck as a midfielder, because I've sort of argued the point of people go on about his goal scoring record, but he's played the vast majority of his games as a winger, not even on the right wing, where he's right foot on the left wing, which is not for me his best position. Rooney, again, he's another one. Lately, we've seen him in midfield, or we've seen him playing deep. I mean, he's always one of them strikers that can drop deep anyway. But I think with RVP signing, Rooney's been pushed even further deeper. So, yeah, I think you might have a point, though, that rather than looking at, certainly with Welbeck, I wouldn't look at him as a striker this season. We'd have to class him as a midfielder, because that's where he's played most of his games. Rooney, similarly, but I think both Rooney and Welbeck are much better suited to being up front.
Yeah, it's interesting. Brian Robson saying that Rooney has to learn to not give the ball away in midfield when he plays there, because it's more important. Dale, you're obviously big on tactics, mate. RVP's up front, obviously been the standout performer in the league, apart from that Uruguayan lad. But do you think that he's given Fergie a bit of a problem in the sense he's had to then rotate everyone else because he's so far above everyone else at the moment?
It's a good question. I think Van Persie's one of those players that no matter what squad he goes into, he'll improve.
Yeah.
But I think the whole thing this season, we've seen many different formations. Ferguson has down the years usually opted for a 4-4-2, whereas with additions like Van Persie, Kagawa, we've seen different styles, we've seen different tactics. I don't think, as we mentioned wingers a few minutes ago, we're not over dependent like we used to be out wide. We've played a bit more centrally, and that's attributed to that. I think Van Persie, it doesn't matter tactically where you play. He's going to play well, and he's probably going to score goals. As for moving players around them, they get used to that. And you've seen people were kind of talking this year if Rooney and Van Persie will link up. Look at the game against West Ham. The assist, the finish, says it all.
Surf, is the biggest loser here with this whole tactical shake-up Javier Hernandez, though? Do you fear for his future perhaps at the club?
Definitely. I mean, he's got one of the best games to goals ratio in Premier League history.
League, yeah.
And at any other team, he'd be starting every single game. But I think what Dale's touched upon it. Van Persie has been on the top of his game, and we've been usually playing with one striker. And Welbeck's had to move to the left, and Rooney's been playing deeper. So Hernandez hasn't even got a shout. And I mean, he's shown quite a lot of patience. And there are rumours that he's not happy and he does want to leave. Whether those are true, I don't think they are. I think he wants to stay at United. And looking at it this way, I mean, he's considerably younger than Van Persie. Who I'd say he's got the potential to develop his career into his late 30s if possible. But Hernandez, I think, will soon get his chance for being patient. But I mean, he is doing his job really well at the moment, coming off the bench.
Chicharito always looks happy, doesn't he, anyway? Right, boys, let's summarise it. It's time to kind of make your conclusions. We want one most improved player, one player who could do better next season if he stays, of course. And if looking forward, we also want your player of the season, the standout player, the one you're giving to it. So, Justin, do you want to kick us off, mate, and start with your most improved?
Yeah, I think there'll be no surprises here. I'm going to go with Raphael. We always knew what a talent he was. We always knew that he had the ability, especially going forward. But he just seems to have reined in some of the nuttiness. It's where you think, oh, no, is this going to be a sending off, or is he going to get done here? He's stopped all that, and he's been one of our best players this season.
And you're sort of must-do-better player? No
surprises again here. Sorry, I'm going for the obvious. It's got to be Antonio Valencia. At the end of last season, he was easily our best player. He was on fire. There was talk of clubs coming in for him, even like Real Madrid maybe sniffing around. He was absolutely superb. This season, he just seems like a completely different player. Doesn't seem to have the confidence. Hasn't been able to deliver the crosses that he was last season. Doesn't seem to want to take on the fullback. He's got to up his game next season, because we can't have another season like we've had next season from Antonio Valencia. We can't afford to do that, especially if we're going to kick on and try and win the Champions League.
Assists way down, aren't they? What about your player of the season then?
I'm going to go with Rio. I know everyone will probably be thinking Carrick, and Carrick's had a fantastic season, don't get me wrong. Of course, Van Persie's another one who's banged in all the goals and been superb. But Rio's just really been a rock. You don't win the league unless you've got a good defence, and Rio's been at the heart of our defence all season. He's carried on from the back end of last season, where I thought he was playing well as well, and he's just kicked on, and you feel a lot safer when Rio's there. He's reading the game, he's second to none, and he's also cut out some of the stuff he used to do. There's no more of them lapses in concentration that used to certain.
Justin, we'll have to kick off for the boys get their thoughts as well. Right, to wrap it up a touch. Dale, what have you got for us? Give us your three.
My most improved player is same as Jay and go Raphael. Jay said it all, and to be honest with you, to sum it up, it's maturity is my reason to go Raphael.
Yeah.
He's taken out that hot-headed streak he used to have, but he still has the passion for the game and the passion wearing the red shirt. Maturity is the main reason I give it to him, because week in, week out, he's shown consistency. Whenever there's been a duck maybe in his performance, he bounces back. I think the greatest example of that is the first half against Madrid. Everyone was saying, wow, he's getting torn asunder. Came out in the second half like a total different player, developed brilliantly and looked like really solid.
So who must do better? Who hasn't improved? Who's gone backwards?
Ashley Young. And the reason I say Ashley Young is I know he didn't particularly really stand out last season, but we do look more balanced when he's in the squad. He tends to track back at Evra. But going forward, I think we should be getting a lot more. I get this attitude from Ashley Young that he's made the move to a big club. He's making a lot of money, and he feels that doesn't have to do it week in, week out. When he does, he has the ability to do it, but he's not doing it. It's a shame. Next season he has to.
Player of the season, mate?
Michael Carrick. Hashtag consistency. Week in, week out, he's been doing. If you talk to any Reds down the years, and you ask them about Dennis Irwin, they'll say consistency. You give you 8 or 10 every week. And I think the same thing with Carrick. Does an easy job, but discipline. He's really disciplined, and he makes everybody's job easier on the pitch.
Played so many games, wasn't he? 2 in 48 hours recently. Suf, give us your player who's improved the most first.
I'm going to go with the rest of the two there. Raphael. The boys have said the rest. So yeah, he's definitely been the most improved player.
Must do better.
Van Persie has been absolutely. I'm only joking.
That spell against Real Madrid and Chelsea. I mean, that kind of counts against them a little bit, doesn't it?
You could say that. But everyone goes through a dry patch, and he sort of made up for it towards the end of the season. But I think the player that needs to improve the most, I've got to agree with Justin, Antonio Valencia, plainly because last season he showed he was so good. It was absolutely breathtaking, just seeing him, and he's got an absolute beauty as well against Blackburn at Ewood Park, and it was so crucial. But this season, I've been really angry when I see him in the starting lineup, because I kind of know what to expect. Dilly-dally with the ball, beat 5 players in a circle and pass it back.
Well, stuff that we don't want to get you too angry, mate. We'll move on. Give us your player of the season to summarise.
Oh, David De Gea.
Yeah, nice shout.
David De Gea for me. Yeah, it has to be David De Gea. I mean, last season he was absolutely castigated, for being rubbish and this, that, and the other. But he was just settling in. Think about his little kid as well. He's only 20-odd years old. Yeah. This season he's got a save rate of 76.5%, which is better than any goalkeeper that has started 15 games this season. He's bulked up. He's great in the air. He's actually, he can speak English now as well. Which is pretty good. So he's commanding the defence as well. So yeah, I think for us he's been my player this season anyway.
Well, yeah, I agree with you there as well, mate. It's a great shout, a great stat as well to cement it from Suf. By the way, give us your player of the season. Make sure you get in touch with that. You have to subscribe first. Put comments below. Also, most improved, then player you want to see do better next season. Gents, it's been a pleasure. We'll catch up with you soon. Bye for now.
United fans, you know what to do. Click the button and subscribe to Full Time Devils.